Hello everyone, today we're having a look at Mariposas. Now this is a butterfly migration game, which is that's a completely interesting theme. The game is from AEG and they did send me this copy to review. Mariposas was designed by Elizabeth Hargrave. Now, she is slightly known for the game that's just sold 1 million copies, Wingspan, which had quite a unique bird theme. So has she done another smash hit here? Well, let's find out. So how roughly does the game play? Well, you're going to start down the bottom. By the objectives, the scoring objectives of each season, you're going to be slowly dragged up the board in terms of trying to get higher than certain cities to score points, or maybe across to get on the right coloured areas to score points. And then by the end of the game, you need that panicked rush to get as many level 4 butterflies back to the bottom, again, for the endgame scoring points. Turns are very simple, though they can have multiple sections to them, in terms of you play a movement card from your hand. It might have one big movement, or it could have a couple, or maybe more, smaller movements. And if you, or when you have multiple butterfly tokens on the board, you can split multiple movements between them. So, for instance, a card might have a 3 and a 2 movement. You could move one butterfly, 3, and then the same one, the 2, or you could split those between. So you could move one butterfly 3 spaces and a different one 2. Very simple, but that's basically the majority of what you're going to be doing, because it's where you land that really matters. Now, if you land on the majority of the spaces, you're going to get a flower token, and they're going to be quite useful to collect sort of sets of the same thing, but it's not a necessity. You can also land on way stations, and these are going to give you a card that's worth a point at the end of the game. And if you collect all of one coloured set, you're going to get a bonus. That might be points, it might be some extra flower tokens, different things that you can get depending on how you set the game up. Each time you stop, you will pick something up, and on any of those stops, even if it's partway through a turn, you can, if you land next to a milkweed symbol, well, you can hatch butterflies. If you're, say, moving a level 2 butterfly, it would hatch a level 3. A level 3 would hatch a level 4. And what's the cost? Well, depending on what you're hatching, if you're hatching a level 3, it'll be 3 matching flower tokens, or 4 of any type of flower token. If you're trying to hatch a level 4, it would be 4 matching tokens, or 5 of anything. So it is better to have matching if you can, and certainly at times you will be able to do that, and other times it might just be easier just to get that other butterfly hatched. Now, there's a little twist here, because normally, or the first times you do that sort of hatching process, you take the butterflies, the tokens, from the sort of next season's objective card. Now, why that is important is when they're all gone, that is revealed. So you might find out what the next season's objective is that little bit earlier. So why are you trying to upgrade these butterflies? They're not really any better in terms of movement, they don't move further, but they are very important for the end game scoring. And at the end of each season, basically the old ones are going to be removed from the board. Now, you're never left without a single butterfly, because if you hadn't hatched one of the new one, you basically get to add it to the board for free. So there is also some tactical times whether you decide, I'm not going to spend these tokens because in a minute I'll just get it for free and then hold on to them for next round. So there's another choice even when it comes to the round ending. The different seasons last different lengths of cards, but once that number have been played by each player, well, that's going to trigger the end of the round scoring. Now, this could be, like I've mentioned earlier, getting high up on the board and past a certain city, or eastward of a certain city, because that's the game trying to drag you up and across America. By the end of the game, you then have to get those butterflies to, well, that are level 4 back down to Michoacan. I'm going to pronounce that really badly, but if you do that, the number of level 4 butterflies you get back are going to score you a lot of points. So at the end of the game, you'll have had the points from during it, from the sort of seasonal objectives. You'll have the points for getting some butterflies back if you manage it. You don't always. And then from those way station cards and sets that you've collected along the way. That's basically how you play, but what do I think about it? Well, first of all, there's not too much luck in the game. There is a dice. The first player that gets to a way station, because they are face down, you get a little bonus for flipping it, as well as the card of a flower token. It's a nice little extra. It doesn't really ever sort of change your mind. You're normally going there anyway to find out what the way station is. Other than that, the luck comes from drawing cards from the deck. You definitely sometimes find that you get a card and you're like, that's not the one I needed. But there are some cool cards in the deck that basically let you copy what someone else has played. And by sort of towards the end of each round, when each player has played a good few cards, normally you can be like, okay, I want that movement. So you normally at least get some good cards, and you can hold on to a good card and sort of use it at a better time. So yeah, there was a little bit of times where you kind of get a bit frustrated that I'm not drawing the card I want, but otherwise it's not a very luck-filled experience. I've mentioned, as I explained it, the fact that the game really does draw you up across the board and then force you back down. And it's a really interesting thing that you know that. I could tell you going into the experience, and I can know that going into the experience, that that's what the game's going to do. And yet at the end of the game, I'm still cursing myself because I went too high and I couldn't get enough butterflies back to score big, because I was going for those other objectives. And that has happened numerous times. I know going into it, if I go for this objective, it's going to be hard work, but I might be able to get back. And I've pushed my luck because I know I'm not going to get them all back. So I'm tempted by some points and then not getting others. And it's a really interesting way that some people will choose, I'm not going for that because I'm heading back already. And you're like, why are you doing that? And then they score massively for here, for getting things back. You score massively for doing the seasonal objectives. And you're both like, I don't know who's made the right decision until the final scores are actually calculated. And to be honest, it depends on the game whether you've made the right choice or not. Just like the box, this sort of very black, almost minimalistic style goes onto the actual game board. And to me, I think it detracts a little bit from it. I think it would have been nice to have some kind of like grassy, meadowy sort of look to the game. It's very, this is a hexagonal map with some symbols and a nice blacked out like rest of the board, and it looks nice. It looks visually quite impressive, but it doesn't really, for me, the visual don't really match the rest. The way station cards, they're different colours. They're like blue, green, and like a reddy, pinkish sort of colour. They're quite bright, so when you've got them, they're colourful. The butterflies are colourful. The hexagons, they are colourful, but it's like, it doesn't make me think of, these butterflies going up. Well, obviously they are going up and they're going past these cities, but it's not, the look doesn't make me think that. I don't know, maybe they could have done, sort of like terrain. That could work. Maybe one area is like a sandier terrain, then there's a foresty area and a sort of meadowy area, rather than the different colours they've used. I just think it feels like it should be singing wildlife, singing sort of meadows, happiness, bright sun, butterflies, and it doesn't quite capture that in terms of the visuals. And like I say, it's a stunning visual because it makes people stop and look, but not for the reason of butterflies. I find it's a sort of contrast of black and colour rather than all meadowy happiness. The game does take a little bit of time to get to the table on that first play. On other plays, future plays, you can sort of distribute some of the setup quite nicely between players. But in that first play, just be aware that There's 12 different cards to split out on the way station board. There's all the way station tiles to flip over and shuffle, and putting sort of objective cards out, some butterflies to players, some on those. It's fine once you've played once, but trying to do that before a teach just takes a few extra minutes. It just slows the game getting to the table a little bit. But like I say, once you're past that first play, well, you're not going to notice it because everyone can pitch in. Now, is it worth it though? Yes, because the turns of Mariposas are simple. You're playing a card and moving that far, maybe stopping a couple of times on the way if it's a multiple movement. And it means that some turns can just be a huge jump somewhere and it feels like you've made a lot of progress. Others, you're maybe jumping here, here and here and getting 3 tokens, so it feels like a bigger turn that way. Then some turns you could do a move, hatch, a move, get a wave station card, flip that token over and do a lot of things just by playing one card. So individual turns have choice to them of what cards you're playing and where you're going. There is the constant dragging up the board when you shouldn't be. You know you shouldn't be, but you are. So your decisions come back to haunt you. Each choice matters because of that. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this one. Does it reach the heights of Wingspan? To me, no, it doesn't quite. It's still a good game and does deserve a play though, so do check the game out. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been my review of Mariposas. Check out news, reviews and other stuff on the channel. And until next time, have a great day gaming.